The Mr. Olympia 1999 marked the 35th edition of the biggest and most prestigious event in professional bodybuilding organized by the IFBB. For longtime fans of the sport, that number carries real historical weight. It shows just how firmly established the Olympia already was as the ultimate stage for the best physiques in the world. The event took place from October 21st to October 24th, 1999, bringing together athletes, fans, and specialized media for several days filled with tension, anticipation, and decisive judging. The finals, the most awaited moment of the entire championship, happened on October 24th, when every pose, every muscle detail, and every comparison had the power to define careers and legacies. The venue chosen for that year was the impressive Mandalay Bay Arena, a setting that helped elevate the status of the event even further. The atmosphere felt different, bigger, more polished, more professional, and that was reflected not only in the production, but also in how the championship was perceived by a global audience. And here's a key historical turning point. 1999 was the first time the Mr. Olympia was held in Las Vegas. It might sound like a simple logistical detail, but that move marked the beginning of a brand new era. In the years that followed, Las Vegas would become the permanent home of the Olympia, forever linking the event to the city's signature spectacle, glamour, and larger-than-life feel. To wrap up this opening picture, the total prize money reached $311,000, an impressive amount for the late 90s. That figure wasn't just about cash. It represented recognition, prestige, and clear proof that bodybuilding had reached a whole new level by the end of the decade. In 1999, Ronnie Coleman didn't step on stage just to compete. He stepped on stage to prove that the throne officially had an owner. By claiming his second consecutive Mr. Olympia title, Ronnie made it crystal clear that his victory the year before wasn't a fluke. It was the start of something much bigger in the world of bodybuilding. What truly shocked everyone that year was how that victory happened. Ronnie Coleman received unanimous first-place votes in every round of judging, something extremely rare at the Olympia. There was no debate, no doubt. To the judges, he was simply the best across every criterion, from start to finish. That level of absolute dominance turned the 1999 result into a historic moment. Ronnie didn't just win. He set a new standard, combining massive size, muscle density, razor-sharp conditioning, and a confidence that showed in every pose. It felt like the stage itself had been built specifically for him that year. The audience wasn't just watching another champion being crowned. They were witnessing the birth of one of the greatest dynasties in the history of the sport. From that Olympia forward, the question stopped being who's going to win, and became who can even come close to Ronnie Coleman. As a reward for that flawless performance, Ronnie took home the top prize of $110,000. But the money was only part of the story. The real reward was his instant status as the man to beat, the standard that every other competitor would be chasing in the years to come. Now let's step down one spot, because if the top of the Olympia in 1999 had a clear and unquestioned owner, the rest of the podium was just as decisive. Right behind Ronnie Coleman was Flex Wheeler, locking in second place unanimously. In a sport where every detail is endlessly debated, that kind of agreement speaks volumes about the level Wheeler brought to the stage. Flex Wheeler showed up with an incredibly refined, balanced, and aesthetic physique. Even without Ronnie's overwhelming mass, his symmetry, clean lines, and smooth posing stood out from start to finish. It was the kind of physique that appealed both to the judges and to more traditional bodybuilding fans. In third place, another major name secured his position with the same level of unanimity, Chris Cormier. He brought a solid, dense, and highly competitive package, staying consistent through every phase of judging and proving beyond any doubt that he belonged among the absolute elite that year. What really stood out is that, even with elite-level athletes battling it out on stage, there was very little debate about the podium placements. First, second, and third were decided with an unusual level of clarity for the Mr. Olympia, a contest historically known for controversy and heated arguments among fans and experts. That alone made the 1999 Olympia a special edition. Instead of drama, what lingered was the feeling that every athlete finished exactly where they deserved to be. Just outside the podium, Kevin Levrone took fourth place, once again proving why he was considered one of the most respected names in the global elite. Even without cracking the top three, Leveron showed he was still incredibly competitive, bringing a powerful, seasoned physique that could go head-to-head with anyone on that stage. Right after him came Sean Ray in 5th place, adding yet another chapter to his legendary competitive longevity. By that point, Sean Ray was already a long-time Olympia veteran, yet he continued to rank among the world's best, something very few athletes have managed to sustain over so many years. 6th place went to Nasser El Sanbadi, an athlete famous for his extreme size and intimidating stage presence. Nasser embodied that larger-than-life look, with massive muscles and insane density, always drawing attention even when he wasn't directly fighting for the title. In 7th, Paul Dillett impressed mainly through sheer size. His colossal frame made the crowd react during every comparison, showing that even with inconsistencies, his massive structure kept him among the most visually striking names in the top 10. Rounding out the highlights, Lee Priest finished 8th, winning over fans with his charisma and muscle density, while Dexter Jackson, still early in his Olympia journey, placed 9th, already showing clear signs of the brilliant future ahead of him. Milos Sarcev completed the top 10, closing out a lineup that perfectly illustrates how deep and competitive that year truly was. Not everything at the 1999 Mr. Olympia was celebration and applause. Like any major event, that edition was also marked by difficult moments and unexpected situations that altered the course of the competition. Some big names were unable to finish the show, and those absences became part of the event's legacy. The most talked about case was Marcus Rule. Known for his extreme size and intimidating look on stage, Rule was disqualified after testing positive for diuretics. The decision was harsh, but it followed the rules, reinforcing just how strict the standards are at an event the size of the Olympia. Marcus's disqualification sparked intense debate among fans and analysts. Many wondered how far he could have climbed in the rankings if he had remained in the competition. Others saw the incident as a clear reminder that, on bodybuilding's biggest stage, there's no room for rule violations, no matter how big the name or the physique. Another noticeable absence was Porter Cottrell, who had to withdraw from the competition before even stepping on stage. The reason was a serious accident that happened weeks earlier while he was working as a firefighter, a profession that had always been a major part of his identity outside bodybuilding. Moments like these show that the Mr. Olympia isn't just about trophies and flawless poses. It also carries stories of frustration, sacrifice, and unpredictability. The 1999 Mr. Olympia also stood out for the clarity of its judging, something that doesn't always happen at competitions of this level. From the very first comparisons, it was obvious there were clear gaps between the athletes, especially when comparing the champion to the rest of the podium. That made the final results easier to understand even for casual fans. The biggest symbol of that clarity was Ronnie Coleman's final score. He finished with just 20 points, the lowest total possible under the judging system. In simple terms, that meant every judge placed him in first place in every single round, with zero disagreement. Right behind him, the logic stayed consistent. Flex Wheeler ended with 40 points, while Chris Cormier finished with 60 points. That clean progression showed that, despite the outstanding physiques on stage, there was a clearly defined hierarchy between first, second, and third. From 4th place onward, things changed dramatically. The scores became much closer, and the differences between athletes were far less obvious. That was reflected in wider variations among judges' scores, highlighting just how tightly contested the field was outside the main podium. That contrast between absolute dominance at the top and a fierce battle just below, it helps explain why Mr. Olympia 1999 is still so widely remembered. The event didn't go down in history only because of the athletes who stepped on stage, but because of the lasting impact it had on the sport. From that edition forward, Las Vegas stopped being seen as just an entertainment city and started to be viewed as the new center of professional bodybuilding, a stage worthy of the Olympia's massive scale. That change in location helped redefine the event's identity. The Olympia became synonymous with big arenas, high-end production, and a true world-class spectacle. What happened in 1999 opened the door for Las Vegas to become, in the years that followed, the permanent home of the most important bodybuilding championship on the planet. But the strongest legacy of that edition was, without a doubt, the beginning of Ronnie Coleman's dominant era. What we saw in 1999 was just the first major warning that the standards of the sport were about to change. Extreme size, unbelievable strength, and flawless conditioning became the new benchmark for anyone dreaming of the title. Another reason Olympia 1999 is so memorable is the clarity of the judging. Unlike many editions marked by controversy, this competition became known as one of the cleanest and least disputed in history, with results that made sense both to the judges and to the fans. Because of all that, Mr. Olympia 1999 is still remembered as the championship that permanently changed the direction of bodybuilding. It didn't just crown a champion. It reset expectations, raised the bar for the sport, and marked the beginning of an era that's still debated decades later. Mr. Olympia 1999 wasn't just a memorable contest. It was a turning point in bodybuilding history. That's where we saw the birth of a dominant era, clear and decisive judging, and an event that redefined standards for good. Even after all these years, that edition still sparks debates, comparisons, and discussions among fans all over the world. Now I want to hear from you. What was the most unforgettable moment of Olympia 1999 in your opinion? Ronnie Coleman's absolute dominance? The rare clarity of the podium? Or the insane number of legends sharing the same stage? Drop your comment down below, because your perspective is part of this conversation. If this video helped you understand why Mr. Olympia 1999 is so special, hit that like button. It helps the channel a lot and allows us to keep bringing you deep, well-researched content like this. And if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe now so you don't miss the next chapters in bodybuilding history. You can also become a channel member to get access to exclusive content, early videos, and behind-the-scenes material that not everyone gets to see. It's the best way to directly support the work and help the channel grow even more. And before you go, stick with us for a second. Another must-watch video is already popping up on the end screen, directly connected to this story. Click it, watch it, and keep going on this journey through the moments that shaped bodybuilding. See you in the next video.